Well, it feels like the world seemed to have slipped off its axis in the last few weeks, particularly here in the UK. The government doesn't seem to have a clue. There's an energy crisis, threats of nuclear war, runaway inflation, debt, and of course record NHS waiting lists. I've never known anything like it. Well, it's not quite true. When I was at school in the 70s, we had much the same sort of things going on. There were 3-day weeks, blackouts, endless strikes, and let's not forget Vietnam and the Cold War. I sometimes wondered if I'd ever see my parents again if the Soviets launched a nuclear strike on Britain. Mind you, life seemed to be simpler back then. Wide lapels, flares, smoking in the woods, disco music and strongbow cider kept us all amused until Punk and Mrs. Thatcher came along, and they changed everything. As L.P. Hartley said, the past is a foreign country. They do things differently there. So what's happening in hip surgery at the moment? My lists have been mostly fully booked, but we've had a few cancellations in the last week. A couple of people have had COVID, so they have to postpone for 7 weeks. Somebody cancelled because they were feeling better, and another person, well, just didn't feel able to face the thought of surgery at the moment. Another thing is that the phones haven't been as busy as expected this week. I'm not really surprised. People are worried about inflation, COVID, the price of fuel, and what's happening in Ukraine. These things make us anxious and unsettled, and we put off making big decisions like having surgery. If you're paying for private treatment, then you might wonder if you should just hang on to your money for a bit longer, just in case. It's quite normal to feel these things, and if you're not feeling up to surgery, then the best thing to do is to wait until you are. People often ask me how will they know when they're ready for surgery. In my experience, it's usually when you realise that another few months have slipped by and your symptoms aren't getting any better. You can't sleep properly because of the pain, and everything seems to be, well, just too difficult. The question I ask is, do you want to be like this in 6 months? That usually focuses the mind. Because I'm in private practice, I don't have any other work commitments. This means that I am very flexible and I can always find the time to see you in clinic, often within a few days. We'll discuss your symptoms, make a diagnosis and plan your surgery in no time at all. Last week I saw somebody who wanted her hip replaced as soon as possible. She's booked in for surgery at the end of the month. By Christmas she should be dancing. If you're not sure about what to do about your hip, you're fed up of waiting, or you just want to know what's wrong and what can be done to help you, then please get in touch. The details are in the description below. Thanks for watching.